Hello, hello, Aleana. Welcome to the Intersect Podcast. I even forget my own podcast name, but I will make a proper presentation for you when I'll do the editing. But yeah, please
Sure.
introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me here. My name is Aleana Kali, and I always struggle with this question of introducing myself because there's so much to say, and I don't want to have you like sit here for 3 hours listening to my life story. But I'll tell you in a
Please do.
nutshell. I'll tell you in a nutshell. Thank you. I don't know if the listeners would be keen on that, but in a nutshell, I am somebody who kind of stumbled into business. I wasn't one of those people who like growing up thought, oh, I was going to be in business, but like life happened. I knew I needed to make money, so you know, I tried the whole like route of getting a job and whatnot. That never worked. Just working in typical companies never worked. Tried working with some startups, had much better experience, but still always kept going back to having my own business. So I was in e-commerce, had a couple of e-commerce businesses, and then I became a consultant, a marketing consultant in 2014. And I kept thinking that I was going to hit the next level, the next level, and next level. And one day, magically, I'm going to wake up feeling great about myself, feeling like I finally made it. And that never happened. And at some point, after, really having the dream business, like I got it to a point where it was exactly the way I wished it to be. I was making the kind of money I wanted to make on my terms, working with the kind of clients I wanted to work with. And I still felt like something wasn't right. And I didn't know what it was. I mean, my whole life was great. It was like, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong. And so I realized at that point that I didn't need a different business model. I needed to really reconnect with myself and figure out what the heck am I doing with my life? What is this existence? What am I doing? What's the point of all of this? And how can I make something that's meaningful and joyful to me that I would want to wake up in the morning and work for? Because what I realized is past a certain point, money was no longer as motivating as it was. Recognition wasn't as motivating as it was. Nothing was really motivating me to get out of bed. So that put me on a path of self-discovery, on a path of figuring out who I am. And I now have a business called Brands Are Alive, where I help people like me, conscious creators, entrepreneurs who are creative, who have a spiritual side, really bring their full self-expression to their brand and everything they create. So take everything that they're suppressing about themselves, all their weirdness, everything that makes them feel alive, and give themselves permission to bring it into their business. And with my marketing and branding experience, find a way to create that intersection where you can make money, where you can resonate with the market, where you can get all those business results, but do it in a way that's aligned with who you are. That's who I am, or what I do, rather, in a nutshell. And I still, mouthful. One day I
That's
will figure out the 150 character description. For now, on LinkedIn, it's I help spiritual creatives unclench their buttholes. That's what I
yeah,
do.
that's what I was about to ask you. Like, you have to give the sentence for the audience. And I when the first time that I've seen it, I loved it, and even like a lot of people on Twitter, not Twitter, LinkedIn as well,
LinkedIn.
right? Yeah, they loved it, huh?
Yeah. So, because I mean, at the end of the day, see, here's the thing. People kept telling me, oh, you need to like, not telling me, but they're saying in general, you need to nail the I help statement,
Mm,
right? Like we're all told you have to say, what do you do? Who do you do it for? How do you do it? There's a lot of truth to that, of course. Like if you niche down, it's easier to saturate a market. It's easier to speak to the client, the kind of clients you want to speak to. It's easier to speak to their pain points. But when you're somebody who's multi-passionate, when you have a lot that you want to bring into your business, asking a person who is aware of their nature as an unlimited being, asking them to limit themselves to 150 characters is painful, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Like I have copywriting experience. I'm a marketer. I know how to write 150 character kind of thing that's going to appeal to, I know how to create an I help statement. But what if that's not really it? What if everything I say is not it? And it's so much more than that. Why are you trying to force me to make it into something that it's not? You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, you want an I help statement? Well, I help spiritual creatives unclench their fucking buttholes, because that's exactly what it is. Because the thing is, by the way, I want to define real quick what a spiritual creative is, because I know sometimes people don't know what that means. A spiritual creative, it's just a label, but what it is really is, you know how sometimes people get to a point in their life where they feel like there's something that wants to be created through them. It's like
Mm.
your life's message is it, some, whether you call it connection to a higher self or higher power or whatever, you feel like you're being guided to create something, and you know it's not just another business, you know it's not just another idea, it's something that's deeply meaningful to you. Okay, we are all creatives, all human beings are creators, we're all creatives. But when you begin to be connected to this higher self and you create from that place, you know, that's what I call and what we call a spiritual creative. Now, why unclench the butthole? It's because, well, the thing that stops people from expressing who they are really and bringing their full self to their brand or to their business or their content is fear, right? Like it's
Mm.
being afraid of showing who you are, being uptight, suppressing yourself, putting yourself in a square, thinking that you are too much or too little, maybe you're not good enough, or your presence is just not welcomed, your energy is a little too much, you're weird, you're the odd one out, and just generally being caught up in who you're supposed to be. Because we go about life putting on masks, and it's necessary to do that, right? You have to create a mask to be a character in the world, to play a certain character. But the trouble is when you get too attached to the mask and you start to believe that that's who I am,
Mm.
you know, and then you become strict about it. And so unclenching the butthole is kind of like, I guess, just a way of saying like relaxing and letting go of that control over trying, you know, instead of trying hard, how about you just let go and allow yourself to be in flow? And the more you can be in that creative flow, the more you can create from a place of connectedness to your higher self.
That's amazing. Yeah, that was like mini branding masterclass, personal branding masterclass for a minute. Before meeting you on Twitter, because of the actual content that I made, I felt exactly the same before. I don't want to talk much about me here, but
Oh,
I
please do.
relate.
I mean, there's a reason why we resonate with each other, right? Like,
Yes, I relate too much to what you're saying right now. The I help statement that wasn't sitting right with me. Like I help e-commerce brands do this and that, and that didn't help me much, right? And yeah, I was just fed up. And like if I was still in this situation, I come across your content, but I still had the I help statement, then I will definitely like would have loved to work with you. But fortunately, I figured it out by myself per se. Uh, yeah, and I just switched completely. I unleashed but no, I unlocked my butthole. That was happening. But that brings me to my next question. Like you have an amazing personality. You
thank
look
you.
like your content is really you, because I spoke with you, and when I read your content, then I can imagine you saying it, right? And that is not this always the case for everyone. I mean, when I speak with them, and I read their content, it's not correlating together,
Mm-hmm,
and that
mm-hmm.
was it with me before, because I was only talking about Shopify branding, whatever. But that's not me when I speak with you. So, have you been always like that? Have you found your voice from the beginning, or was like a lot of iterations?
No, it seems like my whole life has been a process of me finding my voice, you know? And I mean, when I still am a marketing consultant to some degree, but like when I was just purely marketing consultant and I worked with these multi-million dollar e-commerce businesses, and like I would just speak to the CEO and CMO about their brand and their business and retention and blah, blah, blah. And the, most of the time I was pretending, even to myself, to be someone that I was not,
Mm.
because I felt that I felt that the world would only value me for my left brain. The world would only want me to share like my strategies and what will bring in the ROI, and just give me specifics like business talk. And I was leaning too much on the masculine side, and I was leaning too much on just all of that stuff. And I couldn't even allow myself to admit to myself that I, for example, had like a poetic or sort of like emotional side, or that I was actually a sensitive person, even though as a kid it was clear that I was a sensitive person, but there was a lot of wounds around that. So I had to suppress those things about myself and become someone different. It's okay. I don't believe in being this person or this person. The thing is, your content, your voice, it's or everything you create really is an expression of who you are. It's a reflection of who you are. And
Mm,
so I spent too long focusing on the content, the voice, the thing that needs to be said, instead of focusing on the being. Because
mm,
if you focus on the being, then naturally the doing, the creation, the content being part of what you create is going to be a reflection of who you are. I wasn't always allowing myself to speak freely. And in fact, even after I started Brands Are Alive, it was a process, and it still is a process, and it is going to be a process for the rest of my life. It's a practice. It's a practice.
yes.
You have got to keep showing up, showing up authentically, showing up in your truth. When I say showing up authentically, by the way, people might misunderstand that. You get to become whoever the heck you want to be in this lifetime. Okay, being
Mm.
authentic doesn't mean you have to be stuck with the kind of person you were when you were 6 years old. You get to be whoever you are, an unlimited being. You get to be whatever you want at any time. Like just like this, in this moment, I can become whatever I want. In my being, right? I can't become a billionaire just in this second, but in my being, I can become whoever I choose to be. All I have to do is practice the actions that will fortify that self-image or fortify that state of being. And so if I focus on just allowing myself to practice showing up in front of a camera and speaking, even though I say things that make me cringe sometimes, even though not nowadays, not anymore, but like back in those days, or show up in front of a camera, even though I look at myself, I'm like, I look weird. Do I look like that in real life? Do I sound like that in real life? Is that my voice? Why am I speaking so much faster? Oh my God, what? And you deal with the nervousness, you deal with for me, it was like deer in headlight kind of thing, where if I were talking to a person in real life, it would be okay. But then I would be in front of a camera and I would forget how to speak for some freaking reason. I'd be like staring in the camera, right? All these things that you keep practicing and showing up and seeing that, you know what, I'm okay. Like, even though I'm doing that, it's okay. That wasn't my best. What is one thing I can improve the next time? But you have to keep practice showing up, because the more you do that, the more comfortable you get, the more you can relax. And the more you can relax, the more you can really show your true self in it, and also uncover who you are in the process of doing that.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel that as well. When I had my first YouTube channel last year, I think, or 1 year and a half, where again I was only talking about branding and so on, and it wasn't scripted, by the way, and it was just like going there, and I had to do cut, 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 cut. Sometimes just like delete the whole video altogether
Oh
and start
man.
again. But now it's a whole different story. Like I speak to the camera for 40 minutes straight, and I don't care if there's oohs, ahs. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is not my goal to like be perfect, and
Mm-hmm.
there's not my goal. I want to show everything, and if you want to skip. If you don't want to skip, you don't skip. And
Yeah.
I watched some of your videos, and especially the last one. I think it was about the different
Right
stage of
content.
content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, medium, short, and so on. Yeah, I want to ask you a question about that because I love the video. You are a good teacher,
Thank you.
so people can know that and they can jump right away on the video. But yeah, you raised some good points about those like different medium, and
Mm-hmm.
like it arrived at the same time. I wrote a tweet about that, like about my content strategy per se, because I don't
Mm-hmm.
have one. I just write whatever
Yeah,
I
my
want.
content strategy is supposed to whatever the fuck I want too. That's the strategy.
That was
So far,
exactly
so
my
good.
amazing, right? There's no stress. I feel like there's no stress with that kind of
Yeah.
strategy. And when people they come to the content creation game in the beginning, that's what I've seen on Twitter actually. And I'm gonna come back to Twitter after, but anyway, for the content strategy, they're stressed too much about it. Like, should I start a newsletter? Should I do that?
Mm,
Should I do this? Why should I do that? And now there's why, there's what, and there's
yeah.
an infinite procrastination because there's too much information and they don't
Mm-hmm.
don't know what to do. But
Mm-hmm.
how did you knew what to do?
I'll tell you, thank you so much for asking this question, because I think it's very important that people understand why things are recommended so that they can make a decision of what to do for themselves. First of all, and I touched on it on the video that you talked about, whoever's listening to this needs to just take a step back and, first of all, decide that this is a long game. Okay? There's no quick fix. There's a practice. You're going to learn how to create content. You're going to stack up different content skills. There are so many smaller skills, bigger skills that you have to learn along the way. Relax, let it go. You can't be creating from a place of, I've got to create a piece and it's going to have to convert and get me a client by the end of the week. That's not how content works. Okay. Second thing, there's content marketing and there's content creation. Content marketing is content that you create with a purpose of converting people. Content creation can be created for any other purpose. It can be self-expression, whatever. So let's differentiate these two. The third thing is, if you take out all of the labels in business, in a grand scheme of things, the simplest way you can look at content creation or content marketing is that business is relationships, right? And when you're building relationships with people, relationships are built with conversations. You can never build a relationship with anyone unless you have conversation after conversation where you reveal something about each other. And then the transaction happens within the relationship. So if you begin to see it that way as a relationship building and as conversations, then you start to understand what I touched on in the video, which is the short, medium, long-term attention. So there are 3 levels to attention, right? There's the short-term attention, and any relationship, you're going to have to get somebody's attention. If you don't notice me, I don't notice you, a relationship never starts. Okay. So that's the first step. It's the attention. That's why copywriters tell you to start with a hook. Video creators tell you to hook them in the first 3 seconds, whatever it is. Right. And we can dive deeper into what specifically to do there and what not to do. But that's the first stage. That's a short-term attention. You hear a loud bang and you look around, you're like, what's going on? That's short-term attention. Medium, okay, and this, by the way, this was mentioned in many books, but there's a great book about it called Captivology by Ben Parr about this topic. The medium one, he talks about these things. I don't remember if he calls it short, medium, long, but it's very similar to this concept. The medium term is when you're able to sustain that attention. So you heard a loud bang, you looked, is it worth keeping your attention on it? Yes or no? You saw the hook, you stopped scrolling. Is this worth keeping for you to keep going or not? That's the medium. That's really about intrigue. It's about maybe, sometimes I hate this, but agitating the pain is, I have a different perspective. I think it's important to talk about people's pains and address them and give them context. But sometimes marketing can be done in such an evil way. And I say this as a marketer myself, evil for lack of better words, but anyway. So short, medium, and then long-term attention is when you're able to sustain a person's attention long-term, and that's trust. And that trust comes from having all these conversations again and again and again, where this person keeps showing up in a way where you see that you have affinity with their values, you resonate with them, you like them, they are consistent in who they are, and you trust them. That's long-term attention. Now, even that doesn't guarantee a sale, but the sale happens within that. The transaction happens when you have that relationship, short, medium, long-term. You have a relationship, and then the person presents you something that is relevant to you. Maybe you have a problem or desire, and I'm like, here's something I have for you, and you trust me, right? And I explain it to you in a way that makes sense. Oh, okay, this is what you have to offer, and it works for me, and I think it's worth what you're asking for in terms of money, time, investment, energy, et cetera, then I will buy from you. That's really it. And we trip ourselves over when we start complicating what it means, and we call it content, we call it reputation, we call it branding, we call it marketing. And then we dive into all like the jargon and marketing and branding and content and whatever. And a person who is showing up to the game now is like, oh my God, there are so many things I could be doing. Where do I even start? So when you begin to understand these 3 levels of attention, now okay, all I need to do is to think, what can I do that will work for me, that will take a stranger for like short, medium, and long. So I have to create posts that are not super long, at least some posts that are easy to digest and that are catching attention and intriguing enough for a stranger to start a relationship. Then I have to create other content for people who already know who I am to deepen the relationship and to create that trust. okay, how you do it, where you do it, which channel and whatever, that's completely up to you and what your preferences are and where your ideal client is and all of that good stuff. For me, I found that LinkedIn is a great place, even though at first I hated LinkedIn. It took me a year, and I had another account on LinkedIn. They kept banning me when I started talking about psychedelics and spirituality and whatever. My engagement was really poor because it was like, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000, I don't remember, people that I had connected with from my e-commerce days. And I was like, Aleana, you need to accept the fact that you are beginning a new person, new life, letting go of all of that stuff. So you're going to have to start a new LinkedIn, start from scratch, do it, because this is too different. Like, don't cling on to what it's just not it, right? So I was like, okay, it's worth it for me to start a new LinkedIn, completely organic, very slow. I don't have a lot of time to invest in like engaging all the time. But what's my 20% and how can I double down on that? That's my attitude about it. It's like, if I only have like an hour or 2 hours a day or 30 minutes or 15 minutes to whatever it is to spend on this platform, what's the 20% that's going to give me results, that's going to help me out, And it's for that, you need to be clear on like, what is your goal? Are you optimizing to make sales? Are you just trying to get famous? What exactly are you trying to do? And that will inform the content strategy. So it's not that I don't have a strategy. I kind of have like in the back of my mind, okay, I have a newsletter, which is a video that I create once a week. I have these short posts on LinkedIn that, keep bringing in new people. And then if they like what I'm talking about, they subscribe to the newsletter, they watch the video every week, and that's it, and it just, I keep doing that. But I don't do it with an intention of I'm creating because I'm calculating that this is going to turn into a buyer. And I think that's the best attitude to take when it comes to creating content. Find something that brings you joy to talk about. You can't shut up about. Talk about it. Share your passion. Share your joy. Really, keep learning about that topic and keep talking about it. Keep sharing. You're going to help so many people. And let me tell you, Ahmed, like, this is honestly the most valuable currency you can have in your life is just the impact and the help and the love and the connection you have with the people that you meet along the way, and that you may not see the results today, but you will see it in the future. Some of my highest paying clients, even before I had a website, even before I had everything, some of the clients that brought like 6 figures, yearly, like retentions of, retainers over and over and over and over, were people that I didn't have to sell to, but somebody told someone about my work, and then, they trusted me. And here is the kicker. You deliver a really good job when you get the client. You deliver such a good job that they can't shut up about you, because you're never going to be able to win with ads unless you're a trillionaire. You have to have people talking about your service, about your work. And that only happens when it completely exceeds their expectations. So anyone who's starting out or who's already creating content, just, think about knowing the principles of relationship building, of conversations, of 3 levels of attention. What do I need to create? What's the 20% that's going to get me the result that I want, and double down on that. And I feel like I've been talking for a while about different things. I went from content to this, to that, to this.
Don't worry, go ahead. I'm like, you got this. I don't know how many people that will reach, but all of those people listening right now, they're gonna jump to your channel right away, like 1,000%. And now you're on Twitter. I just actually tweeted a welcome to you, and I tagged you on Twitter. Yes,
I just started it like. So last year I was like, okay, Aleana, you need to just at least reserve your handle on all of these different channels, even though I wasn't. And I kept hearing that Twitter is a good place to test ideas. Twitter is a good place for growth. And I was like, nope. Nothing against Twitter, but because I again, it's a matter of like time and resources. I don't want to like have somebody else commenting and posting as me, because that defeats the whole purpose of everything I talk about. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Personal brand. But I can't be on social media all day. I will never be able to do any work. Don't get me wrong. Like, it is still part of, growing the business, but there are other things I need to do. So I was like, okay, I know it's great. I'm sure it's a great channel one day. And then when you told me that you're on Twitter, you are the person who convinced me. I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot for him, and I'm going to go check it out, see if I can see if I can,
Amazing. I'm glad that I
like it.
did.
I
Yeah.
don't know about like engagement. I don't know how much engagement it requires. I feel like the engaging with people is what really takes time. Like creating content, by the way, for those listening, I don't create tons of different content. Okay. My method, to just simplify it, is I carve out time for writing, to explore creative ideas. I carve out time to write and think about the things that, following a curiosity, following an
Mm.
idea, dissecting it, kind of asking questions, and just doing it over and over. And then when I get that spark of like, oh, I want to talk about this, that's when I know this is going to be a video. And that's when I, kind of just quickly organize my thoughts, my bullet points, put them on the board. I have a board here.
Yeah.
Sometimes I
Love
use
the
the board.
board.
Sometimes I use the board, sometimes not. Like I try to use it as much as I can because it keeps me open, because my brain just branches out in so many directions. So it keeps me, focused on these specific points. I use, just for those listening, you don't have to have a board or anything. Just jot down the main points. And then I go and I make a video. Of course, now it's a lot easier. As you mentioned earlier, when I started out, like I would make 20,000 takes and I would feel so bad. And I would feel so tired, by the time. But anyway, now I learned that, okay, video making is, you have to be in good energy. You have to be rested. You
Yes.
know what I mean? It's very important that you don't keep pushing. If you're tired and it's not happening and there's struggle, take a break, go for a walk, go do something, come back to it. It's okay, but it's very normal. I want people listening to know that it's very normal in the beginning that you make content and that you question yourself, feel like it's not good enough, feel like you can't get your point across. That's totally normal. And you keep working on it. So anyway, so I have that main topic, that main idea. I make a video about it. But then from that, because my brain is branching out, and this reminds me of this, and this reminds me of this, I'm like, this could be a little short post on LinkedIn. This could be a short post on LinkedIn. And if I don't even get those ideas, I just take the long video and I try to find 2-3 main points there and make subtopics or like 3-4 sentences kind of posts on LinkedIn for that. And I repurpose. So if I'm going to be posting on LinkedIn, which I don't know how that's going to look like, I'm definitely going to be probably just copy pasting whatever I have across different platforms. I'm not going to be creating content for LinkedIn and then creating from scratch for YouTube, from scratch for this, from scratch for that, because it's a bit too much.
Definitely. Do you make your own short video format, or you hire somebody?
I hired an agency for a short period of time, and I didn't want to do it anymore. They were great. Okay, I hired an agency to help me with like editing and stuff. I hired somebody to like a contractor for editing also. Ultimately, what I realized, now I just do it myself. Okay, I do it myself. And honestly, the reason is because this was my intention from the beginning for this business, is to be something that inspires somebody who doesn't have the resource, don't have the money, don't have the time, you don't have the confidence, you have nothing. You're literally, your ass is to the wall. Like, how are you going to make it? Because those are the people I mean, I worked so long with people who already had done the thing and reached a certain level, right? Like multiple 7, multiple 8 figures. Great. But then you become disconnected from what it really means to start a business. And I remember very vividly now what it was like when I started, like many years ago. It's like that, you have to figure out your stuff. So not everyone is going to have access to an agency. Not everyone is going to have access to a contractor. I still would recommend hiring somebody, I don't know, Fiverr, Upwork for $5, $10 to take some, quick things off your plate, like creating a thumbnail or whatever, unless you enjoy those things. For me, it's not very time consuming. I have a template on Canva. I just literally just put a text on it and slap it onto the video. Very like, I don't care too much about creating the highest like production value kind of thing. For me, the most important thing is the idea and the content. That's where I focus my attention and my energy on improving that, because that's really what's going to serve the person who's listening. That's what's going to build the brand. That's what's going to bring the clients. That does everything. And it's how I want to show up and how I want to be. So no, I do it myself. And the more you can organize your thoughts beforehand and be in good energy, the less editing it's gonna need.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that. I had bummers and bummers and bummers for my 2 last videos that I did on YouTube. The first one was like I started filming and it was in 4K 60 frame per second, so like the storage was filled up, and I was talking for 40 minutes in the void, so I had to
Oh
film
no!
again for 40
Oh
minutes.
no! Oh no!
Oh my good goodness, I swear to God.
Oh no!
And the last video that I was editing, like I don't know what happened, but the first half of the video just disappeared. So I had to
What?
restart the other half all again. So editing is like the first thing that I will delegate like as fast as possible. But I want to
Yeah.
make money with this business before like starting to pour money into it. And there's actually an AI that you'll be interested in. Like you copy paste your YouTube video, long format, more than 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and it does the short form for you
Shorts
with the
with the
subtitles.
long play. With
Yes.
the wow, interesting. Okay, do you mind dropping it? Just like curious to check it out. But I like you could drop it in the chat or just what's the name of it?
I don't have it now, but I will
Okay,
give
no
it to
problem.
you
You can just
after.
add it to the yeah. You can add it to the
Yeah, I will
description.
add it also on the description, but it is also
The,
already saturated. Actually, like when I tried it out,
yeah.
I was like 1,500 in the queue, so I had to wait like
Wow.
for 3 hours. But it gave you like 15 videos. Not all are good, but most of them are good, which
Yeah.
is like
I think okay. So speaking of shorts, so you asked this part of the question, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't touch on it. I did shorts a lot more before. Okay, I used to do
Mm.
shorts a lot, and I did them for like YouTube, which is not one of my main channels, even though I post there regularly. But I started YouTube primarily to host the videos for my newsletters because I was like, I don't want to write these long ass newsletters. I want to send people a video. And YouTube was like the easiest thing, so I would just send them a link there. But then that evolved, and started like creating shorts and whatnot. And shorts are great for visibility. They're great
Mm.
for getting lots of views and being exposed to a lot of people because they're easier to digest. They generally have higher views, so you'll be seen by more people. And if the short is really good, it can be a great way to get somebody to go from being a complete stranger to being like, you know what, I want to check out this person's channel. My quote unquote strategy at the time was to create like once I create the video, the 10, 15, 20-minute video, instead of taking I took snippets from those videos sometimes, but what's even better and what works even better with the algorithm, at least on YouTube, is to create a short specifically as a short. So you create it separately from the long video. And how I used to do it is I would say, hey, here is the idea, 1, 2, 3. And if you like this or you want to learn more about this topic, go to my channel and watch the full video, the long video. And it became kind of a trailer to promote the
Mm.
video to those. It doesn't take any extra time. I mean, it does, but it's not a lot of extra time because at the end of the day, when you're mapping out what is the content of that one video, you know that the nugget is going to be from one of the main video nuggets. It's like you're taking a sample and you're just, putting it
Mm,
out as a
yeah.
short. It's great for views. It's great for that, but I stopped doing it. And I'm not sure if I want to pick it up again or not. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I definitely want to pick up more short videos on LinkedIn. The reason why I stopped doing that on YouTube is because yes, it gets you lots of views. Yes, it gets you lots of exposure. But I feel like the kind of subscribers and the kind of people that come from shorts are sometimes people are just like blown away by a tip and they're like, this is an amazing tip. I'm going to follow this person. But then they're doing that with a million other people and they never really
Mm.
get to see. The algorithm is showing them 15,000 great content creators. And it's like they're not connecting because they feel a genuine connection with the person or with the
Mm.
kind of content that you talk about. They don't even know what kind of channel you have. They don't even know what kind of content you create, but they just heard something that sounded cool because you have to make it that way for the short because that's the whole point. You have to say something impressive. That's kind of the point, right? Like hooking and whatnot. And so the quality of the connection that happens as a result of that is not necessarily what I want. I don't want a bunch of people who've heard something that they thought was interesting once, but aren't connecting with me or what I talk about,
Mm.
or you know what I mean? So I've put all my efforts into the long video. Not against it, just something to consider for those who are
Yeah.
listening.
Definitely. Even me, like people are like tend to ask me if I have a life because I'm kind of doing everything, like filming the video, writing the newsletter,
That is my
tweeting,
life. That's
engaging, blah, whatsoever. But I still play basketball. I still get to eat. I still get to go to the gym, and
Hmm.
I just think it's kind of a matter of a system and priorities. And when I came across this advice so many times, and I was really fed up about the leaving meaningful comments. That like
Oh my
I was
god.
like, damn, bro, yeah, I don't want to
Uh,
do that.
no.
Like, if the content is good, then I don't have to think about leaving a meaningful comment, right? And it's
Hmm.
practically the same thing when I see your content. Then, oh, okay, I want to comment on that. That's great. But when I see a content, I don't like. I don't have something in my brain telling me, oh, write this. Then it's not good. It's not resonating with me. I just
Yeah, it's like if
pass.
I have nothing to say, I have nothing to say. Why force it? You know?
People are forcing themselves because this advice is like has been told by everyone, especially on LinkedIn,
Absolutely.
you know.
On LinkedIn, it's very common, but like, think those that are listening, think about the kind of people that you generally connect with as a result of leaving the quote unquote meaningful comments. There are people who are like, you send each other a message, you're like, let's connect. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. You're so cool. You're so cool too. Okay, bye. And then you never hear about them again. You don't remember who
Mm,
they are. If you look back in like a few weeks and you saw them, you're like, how did I meet this person again? This happened to me before. Because I did the whole meaningful comment thing when I first joined LinkedIn, by the way. I was like,
mm.
okay, this person who's crushing LinkedIn was talking about it. It was like, here's how you create connections. Just go to these profiles and these big profiles and go to the comment section and add something there that would be helpful about this topic. But then I was like, what the heck am I doing? I did that for like a few days, for a couple of days. And I was like, what are you doing, Aleana? I was like, what is that? You know, like the comment section is full
Oh
of
my
people
god.
who are just stating the obvious and saying, and it's so forced. And it's like, I have to do this 5, 10 times a day. Oh, and like turn on the notifications and leave whatever interrupts my day to go and force a
Yes.
comment. No, thank you. Like I'm good. That is not how you build. And it seems like it's working, and it's working if your goal is to have more followers as a number. But people
Yes.
forget the point. The point is not to have a bigger number of followers. The point is that you're making impact incrementally, but over and over and over and over, that every relationship, it compounds.
Mm.
It compounds, relationship after relationship after relationship, connection after connection after connection. So, forget about focusing on like all the tactics and tricks and tips that will do that, and just focus, go back to the basics. What is it going to take for you to build a real, genuine relationship? You have to like the person, be genuinely interested in them, and ask questions, and which is easier if you're genuinely interested in them. Listen, which is really hard for most of us. You know, share yourself, your truth with that other person. Be real. See how you can be helpful, how you can add value, but don't bend yourself backwards. Like, the point is not for you to cross your own boundaries, but
Yes.
if you find opportunities to be of any service, do that. And just keep being human over and over. And one of my favorite creators, his name is George Cal,
George Cow.
Kao. Yeah, Kao. um he's like, I guess his title, he calls himself like a mindful, marketing coach or authentic marketing coach. I don't know, but it's, that's what he does. It's kind of like pretty similar to the way I see things too, which is probably why it resonates so much. But I like the guy. He's a very like genuine person. And he has this phrase that I love, which is like, you don't have to be, the point is not to be immediately impressive. The point is to be consistently authentic. How about you just be
Amazing.
yourself and see who shows up? And I thought,
Mm.
thank you. That's exactly it. Just instead of trying, just how about you focus on being the best that you can be and keep showing up and see who resonates with you naturally. And that's it.
Definitely.
So,
Like,
yeah.
especially when commenting those kind of comments takes you an hour and a half. That's an hour and a half that I can like film 2 videos on YouTube, and I prefer to
Mm-hmm.
do that and let people find me, or short form videos. That's better. I think that's better than doing that. And as you said,
Of
depends
course.
on the goal. But I mean, if you are forcing yourself, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And I was in the same position again, but that's why actually I left LinkedIn in the first place, because of this meaningful common thing.
Commenting.
Oh my goodness, it was like no, no, and it transferred into Twitter, but I wasn't gonna cut it for me like on Twitter commenting meaningful thing bullshit. that wasn't doing it. And a lot of people are resonating with that actually because they've been forced. I made a tweet about that, and there's been like more than 50 comments about people fed up with the meaningful comment thing,
Yeah.
leaving real meaningful comment on that tweet, you know?
Yep, that's exactly right. That's when the meaningful comments happen, when people genuinely have something to say. And I think that the problem with all of it and the way that marketing is being sold is that we're being told that we have to be calculating. There's just so much calculating. I'm going to do this so
Yes.
that you do this, so that this happens, so that this happens. And I'll be the person to break this news. Like, life doesn't work that way. You can calculate all you want, but it really doesn't work that way. You don't just, do 1, 2, 3, and then the whole like idea that the funnel, like you're going to push people, they're going to see this, and then they're going to see this, and then they're going to feel this way. And then that's
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
not how it works. Yeah.
I start to ask myself questions, like, did I really read a whole like long ass sales page or landing page before buying a product? I never did. I never bought the product because I read the whole page. It's because I trust the person. I'm like, for my next products, I won't do that. Like, I'm gonna put a video, like just put a video there, explain everything. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't watch it. But at the end of the day, if you're interested in the product, I'm gonna save you some time instead of reading the whole thing.
Yeah.
And me personally, I would prefer that. So I will do, like, now I'm doing kind of the thing that resonate with me, and I think of it like in a way that if it does with me, then it will with someone else,
That's
right?
exactly right. That's exactly right. That's how.
And
Yeah.
go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say that's exactly right, because that you just hit the nail on its head. Like, the way to sell, there are many ways to sell, but the way to sell best is how you like to be sold to, right?
Yes,
So just
definitely.
find the way that you like to be sold to. How do you like to make your buying decisions, and make it that way? Because some people like to read long copy
Yes,
pages. Some people like to watch long videos. Some people like to watch short videos. Some people like hype. Some people like facts. People buy for different reasons. Generally, they have their own reasons, but people like to buy in different ways. But you sell the way you like to be sold to, and you'll never go wrong with that.
definitely. That's just left like all the pressure again. When you don't have to do things as you've been told. Like, there's the only way. Again, with the example of meaningful comment, it's like you cannot comment great posts anymore. You cannot do that anymore. So, but like, are you speaking like that with your friends all the time,
Yeah,
with
of course.
meaningful comments? you know I'm not having this kind of chat with my friends. A meaningful conversation all the time. I mean, you can gossip sometimes. And yeah, that's the whole fun about it. And that's why now I find Twitter super super not entertaining per se, but I mean, not stressful. And it's kind of a different vibe than LinkedIn. And LinkedIn in the beginning, I really loved it as well, but after it gets boring. The same content, you see the same content from others, other content from others that is only just
the,
slightly different from others.
the AI stuff,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
carousels.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Yeah, I
it
was
gets a
fed
little
up.
too much.
I was fed up. I was fed up.
But
But
LinkedIn is a great place to find if you're in a B2B. Well, I mean, anything, but really, it can be a good place. For me, the reason why I like LinkedIn is because people are there for a purpose. I'm like, you fuckers are like me. You're here because it's not. I have nothing against any channel, and again, I don't think there's anything right and wrong about like using TikTok or Twitter or doing
hmm.
short videos or long videos. Like you said, make your own rules. Like, you didn't start a business to be told how to run or how to be in business. You've got to experiment. There's no way around it. You have to learn the principles, know the basics of like what I shared earlier. For example, one of those principles, like how do you build a relationship? Understand those things. And then with that, once you understand those things, then you can play the game any way you want to. You choose whatever you want to do. LinkedIn for me was something I disliked a lot in the beginning. I hated it. But for what I was trying to do, which is training myself to be my full self expression in the most uncomfortable environment, right? Like, what's the worst place for me to be quote unquote unprofessional? What's the worst place for me to be my full self expression? And the worst place for me to talk about spirituality and creativity, freaking LinkedIn, not YouTube, not TikTok, LinkedIn. And I was like, I'm going to go on LinkedIn. I'm going to do it because that's what I wanted to do. It was, for me, it was a practice of self-expression, and it's self-expression in business. It's unclenching the butthole in business. So I went on LinkedIn, and now I love it because I start to connect with people like you, people I actually enjoy being around. So yeah, I hear you 100%. It gets really boring sometimes. I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah, I can.
Then I get the connections or clients or whatever. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is why I'm here. It can get fun. Yeah.
I can't blame LinkedIn. That's why we met, right? So thanks you, LinkedIn. But now, like, my strategy shifted. I'm like more in a lazy landscape because I just screenshot my tweets and I put them there, and
Yeah.
I barely go to LinkedIn anymore. So yes, just like different
Yeah, and it's
priorities,
fine. It's fine. Like, keep experimenting with what works for you. I mean, like I said, there's no way around it. When you start your own business, you have to experiment. You have to figure out what works for you. You saw my post I put like yesterday on LinkedIn about why marketing should feel good, because it's
Yes,
a
yes.
practice. It's like being healthy. It's like you don't just follow a diet and exercise until your body is the way you want it to be. Because if
Yes.
you do that, you're going to drop the ball either before you see the results, or as soon as you get the results, you're going to drop it because you don't like what you had to do to get there. But if you find what you enjoy, you find the kind of foods that you enjoy that are healthy, you find the kind of exercises that are good for you, that get you the result, that work with the principles, that you actually enjoy them and can maintain them, then you get to keep getting better and better. That's why I started all this by saying it's a long game. You have to know the principles, and you have to experiment to figure out what you want.
That's a great analogy, actually, because I tried so many, so many workouts, so many programs. Oh my goodness! Oh wow, yeah. Until I found what I liked in a specific time frame, and that's also something else. Like something can work for you, for example, 3 years ago, and now you change. Like your values change, your vision change, and then
Absolutely.
you don't want to sell like that anymore, and you are a different person, and you are like changing your workouts, changing your programs depending on your new lifestyle, whatever that might be. So yes, that's an amazing analogy. Thank you for
Yeah, you're
that.
welcome. You're welcome.
a, a lot of people will resonate for that with that for sure, and because yeah, if you feel forced, even though if you take this analogy and you add like a coach to it, when you find a coach, most likely it won't be like the best one from the get-go, right? You have to go through one, two, three, or you have
Oh
by
yeah.
chance you get the first one and he is the best you ever get,
Yeah.
right? So you never know, and you have to try. That's what's all about it.
And I will tell you this much about finding coaches, consultants, mentors, advisors, guides, service providers, anyone who's going to help you get better at your own game as a coach or guide you to the path, like a guide, like a mentor. The number one thing I look for in people, and now I don't necessarily like need to have somebody at all times, but I've worked with an endless number of coaches and people in the past. The biggest thing is you need somebody who is not only aligned with who you are, but always guides you back to your own inner guidance. There comes a time for every entrepreneur, for every creator, where you realize that the guidance is within. There's nothing out there for you. The answers are not out there. The answers are internal. And I know some people are hearing this and going, what? And it's like, that sounds very good, but what's the strategy though? Trust me on this one, just this one thing. There's nothing that anybody can give you that you can't find internally. The most that we can do for each other is be the best that we can be, so that in our presence, other people are inspired to transform.
That's
That's the
powerful.
most we can do. The most I can do is work on myself and be who I am. Like, I don't trust anyone who wants to lead other people. Not because wanting to lead other people is a bad thing, but because it means you don't understand what it means to lead. There's no leading anyone else out there. If you know anything about me, you know that I don't believe there's anyone out there. There's only one being. But whatever, that's
Yes.
a different topic. But
Yeah.
you're not leading anyone out there. You're only leading yourself. It's a process of self-leadership. When you lead yourself, you help other people lead themselves to. You're just giving them an example, a model that they can look at and say, okay, this person is doing it this way. I like this result and I like how they got this result. This resonates with me. I'm going to ask them how they did it and I'm going to learn with them. But they're not leading you anywhere. And if you want to lead people, all you're going to attract is followers. And I'm not talking about followers on LinkedIn or followers on you're attracting people who are looking for anything and anyone to follow. But if you are a self-leading person, you want to attract self-leading leaders, leader to leader, shoulder to shoulder, walking together, nobody in front or behind the other person. Okay, so the most you can do to help anybody else is be the best that you can and create that space for the other person. So when you're working with a coach, when you're working with a mentor, when you're working with anybody, just take a look at this person. Are they where you want to be? Is there something about their life or about them that you desire to create in your own life? And do you resonate with the way they did it? And do they respect and understand that the guidance is within you? Because if they try to tell you that you have to override your intuition, your inner guidance, your mind, because they are the expert, because they have the answers, run and don't look back. If they tell you that you're not buying this and you're not doing this because you're letting your fear talk you out of this life-changing program, and you have to get over your fear, you have to be a quick decision maker, any of that garbage, you have to look around and just be like, I'm out of here, because you're gonna find people who will do that to you. And God knows, I not only fell for that, but I did that, many years ago when I didn't know any better. I thought that's how you had to sell. You had to create scarcity. You had to create like all of that stuff. And I felt icky for doing it. And I just would like override that thing within me that's like, this feels wrong. And then I would talk to these people and be like, no, that's okay. You're conscious, like forget about it. Like that's not happening. Ignore that. That's just how marketing happens. That's how business works. That's how sales work. That's how. So the guidance, the internal guidance is always there. And it's not like some people have intuition and some people don't. It doesn't work that way. It's like everybody has the capacity to connect to this infinite wisdom, but you have to turn off the noise. You have to shut the door and stop listening to so many people, and you have to create the space to listen to yourself if you want to connect with that inner guidance. So.
Incredible. You are the coach that people need.
I don't know what I am, but I actually never call myself coach specifically, even though that's how like a lot of people that I know are calling me like that, friends, and I'm like, you're a coach, right? And I'm like, I don't know what I really I coach is one of the things I do. I coach people, but I don't necessarily feel like a coach. Sometimes I say I'm a marketer because I do marketing, but I don't feel like a marketer. I don't know what I am. And
I've seen, yes, definitely. I've seen a tweet actually around that subject. I don't recall the exact sentence, whatever it might be, but it's something like that. When people ask you what you do and you don't have an exact answer, then you're doing something purposeful, like with purpose or something like that.
That's exactly right, because it's not just this or that. Like if there's any agenda to what I do, like a in the back of my mind, that's always there. It's an agenda of self-love and self-worth. That's really what I truly, genuinely want for everybody, right? I want everybody to love themselves and love who they are and accept all parts of themselves and give themselves permission to say yes to their truest desires and to bring back the inner child. I think it was Arthur Rimbaud who said that genius is a recovery of childhood at will. When you recover your inner child at will as an adult, you're not acting like a 6-year-old, but you recover the parts of you that you had to suppress as a kid, because you thought that that's what you needed to do to survive, and you bring it back and you unleash the freaking beast. That's my mojo. That's what makes me feel alive. Like reflecting that in people, because I see it when I talk to somebody. I see how great people are. I see how capable they are. I see how powerful they are. And nothing brings me more joy than that person seeing that in themselves and really healing their sense of self-worth and their sense of self-belief and going for it. And I'm hoping to use marketing and branding and business, my business experience, as a means to show, like, with understanding those principles, that all you have to do is follow the principles. You don't have to do the tactics, the methods that people are selling you. You just have to go back to the basics. I'm all about simplicity. I'm all about the path of least resistance. I'm all about what's the easiest, most effortless way, most flowing way, most joyful way. And if it's not fun, it's not worth it. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, it's still a practice. Don't get me wrong. Like, I get pretty serious about my discipline, but it's not, it's still in the spirit of playfulness. It's still in the spirit of having fun. So
Definitely.
do I call myself coach, marketer, mentor? I don't know. You know, I don't know. But I think that when you're creating something purposeful, it's necessary that you have conversations in the form of content or conversations like these for people to understand who you are and what you do, because you're not going to be able to explain it in just a few characters. You can try, and that's okay. You can put a couple of words here and there, like on your about page, on your bio, on your whatever. It's going to give people a glimpse. But I trust that if you show up in your full self-expression, in your authentic self, I trust that you're going to resonate with the right person at the right time. Your message will find a way to reach the person that needs to hear it when they need to hear it. And all you have to do is focus on showing up with that message. And like I said, being who you know yourself to be and showing up with the message consistently and trusting that the rest of it is not under your control. This is my strategy. If I have any strategy in content creation, is create the best I can create, put it out there. And if somebody finds value, they decide to check out what I do, and I have something for them that resonates with them, they'll reach out, they'll work with me. I have the prices on the website. I'm currently working on slightly more affordable offers for people who may not be at that stage just yet to work with me. But I don't do any of the sales tactics of like, Joe, go on a discovery call and we're going to talk about, so let's talk about your pain and, and so what's holding you back? Okay, now we're going to move to this stage. Okay, now we're going to say the price. Once I say the price, now I'm going to shut up and we're going to wait and we're going to see what objections you come up with. And then we're going to, don't do any of that stuff. It's more like, here's what I do. Here's what you get. Here's the price. If you want to ask me any questions, jump on a call, ask me questions, answer them. And then that's it. And you know what? It's so much better for everybody. People feel safe to ask you, hey, like, tell me more about your program, because they don't feel like you're going to attack and grab them and try to sell them. You don't have to do that garbage. You don't. And
I got it.
I'm not saying that like people who are doing that are wrong, by the way, or doing anything wrong. Like I said, if you enjoy being sold to that way, that's cool.
Yes.
But this is how I like to be sold to, the way I'm doing it. So.
Exactly the same. I like to see the prices. I did the same with my branding websites whatsoever. I don't have I had one client that, I had like a discussion with her and so on. And after when I sent her the proposal, she had like she specifically said a chokehold. She had a chokehold after seeing the price, but she's my client because she trusted me. But it was funny. She didn't see the prices on the website.
On the website, yeah. People miss them, and that's okay. And
that's but it was funny. But still, like I think exactly the same as you. When you get into calls with people, at some stage you just don't care anymore about their money per se. You're not there for their money. You're there for really helping them, right? And I see like having a course. I don't know if you will make a course in the future. That'll be like a more affordable range of price for.
That's what I'm trying to work on. Something short and sweet and like a couple of hours and like very
awesome.
Doable.
Yeah, that would be great. I will purchase it.
I'll buy it. Thank you, man. It's not like the thing about creating a course, and the reason why I had like so much resistance to it. I've been thinking about it for a while, but. I know how sometimes people say, oh, it's not your responsibility if people get the result or apply it or whatever. I feel that it is my responsibility, not in a faulting way, but if it's my work, it's my responsibility how you're going to consume it, whether you're going to be able to apply it or not, whether you're going to get the result or not. of course you have responsibility too, but I'm not going to create something that I know you're not very likely to act on, you're not very likely to understand correctly or apply correctly. So I was overthinking it, like, oh, my work is so, because when I work with people, I start from scratch, from figuring out passion and purpose and your life's message, who you are, everything, the essence of who you are. And
Mm-hmm.
then how do we translate that into a brand and into like offers and in a niche? And then how do we market that? And then how do we work day to day for you to be connected to your creative flow so that you can create the best that you can create? So it's a lot of work. It can't be, or it can, but I don't have the capacity right now to translate it into a perfect little course that's, it's going to be gigantic. But then I realized, okay, maybe I could solve smaller problems. Like, for example, right now, one of the things I'm working on is for people who are at that point where they're like, I kind of know what I want to do, but I'm not sure how to niche or what to call myself, or how do I position myself and what kind of offers can I create? I could create something like that. That's like, just a few hours that helps them essentially figure out their, the niche statement, but not necessarily in the traditional sense, right? People who are
Yes.
like us, who are doing something, like you said, purposeful. Another one that I mentioned yesterday in the post that you commented on was about marketing path of least resistance. Like, how do you figure out, marketing in a way that is joyful and that's fun, that doesn't make you feel icky, right? Little things like that. Well, not really little, but things that are a bit more doable. I'm definitely, I'm working, like in 2023, I want to create more of those kind of courses and, doable, digestible stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Have you met like many other multi-passionate people that, yeah, they are successful, and others that don't know just how to approach their multi-interests, and because of all the noise that, like, you have to niche down, you have to focus on one thing, but that doesn't work with multi-passionate because they cannot do that. Other if they try to do it, then they are suppressing their inner feelings, like you said.
I've met a lot of people who are in that boat, and generally they end up creating statements that don't really resonate when they try to force it. So it would be like, I help people, let's say, I don't know, unleash their inner divine feminine warrior goddess to do blah blah blah, and it's like, that sounds great, but what exactly do you know what I mean? And it's like, it can still sell, you can still resonate, but again, like if you're selling despite that, you're selling because you're probably connected with someone, you resonated with them, they liked you, they
Hmm.
understood finally what it is that you do, and they're like, okay, I have a need for that. But they end up creating like these big vague kind of promises, and it's true because it's transformative. They're not lying. They're like, these people, this is what breaks my heart, is that they genuinely mean everything they say. They really do transformative work. They are, it's coming from the heart and the soul. They're pouring their souls into it. But the way they're explaining it, it's not doing any favors. People hear that and they go, that sounds cool, that sounds nice, but like, not, oh, that sounds like me. I want that. I need
Mm.
that. That's for me. There's a difference. So there's that camp, and then the other camp is people who feel like they have to, like you said, okay, because I want to resonate with people, because I want to sell, I'm going to have to omit and remove this and this and this and this and make it something that it's not. An example would be if I changed my proposition right now to, or my about to, hi, I'm Aleana Kali and I am brand marketing strategist. It's still true to some extent, right? But holy cow, like I feel like that's only like 1% of what it is. Well, it's a very small chunk of what it is, and I would be leaving a lot, out.
Mm.
So yeah, these are the two places where people usually are, or you have people who are just starting out and really have no idea. Like they're like, I'm interested in this and this and this and this and this. I have no idea what to do, where to go, whatever. I've been that person myself. I met some people who are in that camp where like, I'm still trying to figure out like, what is my purpose? What is my passion? And they're usually shocked when I tell them that your purpose is not the work that you do. Your work is just a reflection of that, but it's not your purpose. But anyway,
Definitely.
there's different people in different camps. Yeah. And then you have people who are far advanced and like have really successful businesses, but they reach a next level and they're afraid of letting that go. They're like
Mm.
falling out of love with their business. I was in that camp too. Funny thing, that's like last business when I was a consultant. I was already doing well, but I was like, oh shoot, I don't love my business anymore. What do I do?
Mm.
You know, so yeah, people will show up at different stages in their lives. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's sad to hear in a way. Uh, Multi passion is like there. I feel there's a lot of people with many interests that are misunderstood, and
Mm-hmm.
when they come online, they land on the wrong side because there isn't many of the right side right now. Like multi passions given the right advice, such as you. I don't want to praise myself, but I mean
You too,
people
of course.
people
Always.
are like always asking me how I did it, but I'm just starting, like I'm figuring it out, like
Mm.
uh I hate it when I've been told that, oh, looks like you already figured out everything, but I mean, I just have
Probably
500
never was.
followers, I just started like 2 months ago. I didn't figure out shit. Like, I'm
Mm.
just writing for myself, and it happens that there were many people in my past situation which was just 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
Yeah.
So it's like you just have to start at the end of the day and be messy, and that's what I did because I really thought, in my mind, that I wasn't gonna find anyone for a year. Like, I was going to tweet in a void for a year at least, and that was my mind. Even though like maybe 2 years after that, whatever that might be, but it happened that it was only 3 months because of other people that I found in community, and then I met other people who has multiple interests trying to figure it out as well. So now we are figuring it
Mm.
out together, and that's something special.
Yeah. Well, what's your definition of figuring out? I'm curious.
It's It's a lifetime purpose, actually. I think it's we never figure it out. So,
There you go. All right. You answered your own question.
and, yeah, it's exactly that. That's exactly it. Especially because when you say personal branding, putting yourself out there, and again, generic advice, which is be yourself. I think it's too easy to say.
Yeah.
That's like saying to someone who's depressed, don't be depressed.
Smile. Yeah.
Smile.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
but that's not how it is. There's people who aren't like happy with themselves. How do you want them to be themselves online? There's another
Yep.
problem that needs to be solved before doing so. And those people actually who aren't happy with themselves, then they come online, they try to build a personal brand, but they fail because they didn't start with the first problem, because they landed on the wrong side of the internet again.
Yeah.
So now, like, I try to find like my new purpose. I can add another purpose is to like grab those people from the wrong
Mm-hmm.
side. I want them to land on the right side because they're always landing on the wrong side. And when they find this side that I'm talking about, then they're shocked. Oh wow, I didn't know this existed. I didn't know, and it's crazy to me. Because
Yeah.
you just have to. I don't know. Like, I don't even know how to like to give actionable steps, but I mean, it's hard. It's not
But
that simple as
remember, it was
people
not
are
about.
marketing.
Yeah, but remember, it's not always about just giving how to actionable steps. I always like to use the analogy of having a six pack. Everybody knows how. Everybody knows the action steps to get a six pack. I don't have a six pack. Why? Because I mean, I know how, but doing it's different. But remember, it's not just about giving people how to, it's about just applying it in your own life and
Hmm.
creating this space for them to be around you so that they can see, okay, if this person, sorry, if this person has these results in this certain way, I want to learn with this person. Great. That's it, and it's okay. Like, they can be on the other side. They can sample out. Maybe the other side is the right side for them. Who knows? That's okay. Maybe they enjoy that. I don't. You don't. Many of us don't. But some people do. Some people really like the hustle. Some people really like to be
Yes.
yelled at. That's
Oh my
you're
god.
a fucking loser. Some people like that. They get motivated
Oh.
by that. But you brought a really good point, Imagine, when you talked about building a personal brand and people don't like themselves. And yeah, like the generic advice of be yourself when you don't like yourself. Like, you don't have to be yourself if you don't like how you are, right? First of all, we have to understand what is the self. So anybody who is listening to this really needs to, I'm going to mute myself to cough. I'm sorry.
No problem.
This is how I know I've been talking for a while. Like my throat is dry. We need to understand what is the self. The self, I don't pretend to know what the self is. This is like the biggest mystery in existence to me, is the self. Okay. But there's the self, the true self. And there's the character or the personas, the characters, the masks that we wear, right? Which is just Aleana is this person, blah, blah, blah. That's a character. And then there are the wounds, the hurt, that we create layers to protect ourselves, right? What people call ego, whatever. You create a layer to protect yourself where you pretend to be something that you are not, but it's fueled by fear. Really, all you have to do is figure out which are the places where you are acting out of fear versus love. Choices from fear versus love. And anything that is not rooted in love is not yours. If you're doing it because you're afraid, if you're doing it and it feels wrong, if you're doing it and it doesn't sit right with you, it's not yours. Okay. So when people start building a personal brand, they confuse the self, who they are, with the brand. They think they are the brand because it's a personal brand. It's not that. Like, the brand is a flat, one-dimensional representation or two-dimensional representation of who you are. It's like, here are 2-3 aspects that make this persona, this character that I'm crafting intentionally. That is not fake. It's still authentic. It's still an expression of who I am. But I'm exaggerating this part for the purpose of selling this particular thing or conveying this particular idea. While I understand and know the distinction that I am not the brand. So that way I don't get caught up in these thoughts of like, if the brand isn't selling, then I am bad, wrong, a failure, blah, 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 right? That's very important for anyone who is starting a personal brand or any business. Before you do that, and while you're doing that, you have to learn how to heal yourself. You have to learn how to fulfill your own emotional needs. Because too many people go building personal brands hoping that people out there will fulfill their own emotional needs, such as encouragement, validation, recognition, attention, all of that stuff. And you have to give that to yourself, because how can you expect other people to give you something they haven't learned to give to themselves? You know what I mean? Most people out there are also looking for that. It's like beggars begging from beggars. Remember how I said earlier, there's nothing to get from out there. It's all within. Just like the guidance is internal, also the emotional needs that people try to fulfill with building a personal brand and conveying a certain image are also within, are also internal. So you want to become a better person, for lack of better words, or work on yourself because you desire that, yourself to be capable of that, right? You're worthy of that. That's who I am, and that's how I want to show up in the world, not because that's how I want my brand to be known or perceived or whatever, because then it becomes manipulative.
Definitely.
And
definitely,
if people don't agree with you or say, yeah, you are that, then you're like, oh my God, I have to wait for other people to validate that I am that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, even, when you speak different languages and your personality can shift just because of the language itself. When I speak Arabic, I don't feel like I'm the same person when I speak French. When I speak English, I don't feel I'm like the same person when I speak English, vice versa, Japanese, Spanish, whatever that might be. Each language has its own room per se in the brain, and this exact the same thing with personal branding. Like, it's an environment that you wire yourself to, and that doesn't mean, like you said, you have to be fake or whatever that might be. But no matter how much I say about myself online, you never can know me 100%. Like, even someone who lives with you 24 hours
still doesn't know certain things.
Exactly.
Heck, I don't know certain things about myself.
So yeah, it's just like, not I won't say as simple as that, but it start with that. Like, it start with really not understanding ourselves, but trying to understand ourselves in the first place, and after
Absolutely.
like thinking about like personal brand or whatever it might be, you know.
100%. That self-awareness is everything. It's not just the
Definitely.
brand. It's like building a business that you love and really designing your whole life with intention, and a life that brings you joy. Starts with understanding yourself and what brings you joy. What do you like? What do you not like? Why do you keep doing things that don't bring you joy? Why do you keep doing things that aren't good for you? You know, understanding those things and working with yourself to create that for yourself, it requires a certain level of self-awareness, definitely. Yeah.
Oh, man, I feel like it was a free coaching call for me. Free coaching call for the audience as
For
well.
the
Like they
collective.
got, yeah, they got content creation blueprint, personal branding blueprint, self discovery blueprint, all of that stuff. That was amazing.
I
As
love it. I love it. This is just me sharing my joy and really just having a conversation with a friend, you know, about stuff I care about. That's it,
amazing.
really.
Yeah, I loved it. I
I
just
love
want
it.
to wrap that up with like the type of content you're consuming right now. Actually, that's a question that intrigued me with content creator that I love their content, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I really try to stay away from like big content creators type of content because most of the time it tends to be, I don't know what happens to people when they get to a certain level of followership and they start, maybe like once you become really quote unquote successful at something, there's fear that if you deviate or change that, it's,
Mm.
you know, that people are not going to resonate with it, so you start creating more standard bland stuff, you know. I don't know. And also because I enjoy my peers a lot more. I enjoy people who are like creative, you know, and alive and free and allowing themselves to follow their curiosities. So I have very, very, very simple rules. If I am not enjoying reading or listening to something, I don't do it. All right, that's it. Period. I don't care how great a book is said to be. Like there's this book called Creativity Inc. or something, or INC. I wanted to listen to it. It's 12 hours. I just couldn't do it. Tried it a couple of times. I was like, this is not exciting to me, even though the topic is supposed to be exciting. It's not. But there are books that I love and I would listen to and read over and over and over. I
Such
mostly,
as
oh man, I have so many of them. Let's see, Essentialism, Greg McCown,
oh yeah, I love it.
Captivology, Ben Parr. Let me just go back to like because Audible. Right now, I was listening to No Bad Parts, which is a psychology book.
About part.
So here are the books that I had. Actually, I'm going to look at the ones that are either that are finished.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, great one. The Joy of Genius, also by Gay Hendricks. Conscious Luck, Gay Hendricks.
Oh, okay.
Marketing Made Simple and
Yeah.
Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, which is great book if you want to create a story brand, like a brand around your story brand framework. Amazing. Also Effortless by Greg McCown. Revelation, Russell Brand. The Way We're Working Isn't Working by Tony Schwartz. Oh gosh, The Practice by Seth Godin. The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield. I have so many books that are all like non-fiction. Flow
Awesome.
by Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, one of
Got
the
it. Yeah.
greatest books. Yeah, there are lots of books. I tend to read non-fiction. I tend to
Mm-hmm.
read like business, spirituality, marketing. When I like a book, it's not unlike me to like read it or listen to it a couple of times. As far as like YouTube videos or like content in general, I have a plugin on YouTube so that when I go, it doesn't recommend anything to me. It doesn't show me any recommended videos, and it doesn't show me any comments because
Awesome.
that's my kryptonite. Let me find it for you.
Yeah,
What's the
yeah,
extension?
that's
Because that stuff can suck you in big time.
definitely
I think it's called Unhook. Remove YouTube.
unhook.
Yeah,
I
Unhook.
mean, okay, perfect.
And but I do go intentionally listening to or watching some content. There's some content creators I actually enjoyed. Like I know you read and listen to sometimes Denko.
Mm-hmm.
and I liked some of his content a lot. I think he seems to be a genuine guy. Yeah, so I sample out. I sample out, and actually what I find myself gravitating towards a lot of times, like Ramdas type of stuff, or like Alan Watts and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I see.
I just sample out. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's actually like Dan School, one of favorite content creator or author is Alan Watts, so that's maybe the cross
Connection.
reference, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
probably
definitely,
why.
definitely.
Cool.
Also,
That's
there
interesting.
was a video that was, I think I commented that on Dansko content, I think on LinkedIn, and you watched the video. I forgot what
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I don't
from
remember
Mohammed Hijab.
yeah, I don't remember exactly. I don't remember the name of the guy, but I remember the topic. And yes, I do also find myself gravitating a lot towards Sufism and Rumi specifically. Like he seems to have a poem or a quote for every thought that's ever popped up in my head. Yeah, I love that
Yeah,
stuff.
I love those content as well. Like it's different from business. You know, when there's something
Yeah.
different from business, you can expand your creativity per se.
Yes, absolutely. And like
Mm.
yesterday, somebody sent me a DM and he was like, "Hey, you seem to have like interests that are very different. Like, where is that coming from?" And I was like, just do what brings you joy. Like, like how do you? Oh no. The question was, how do you weave it all into content? I was like, I wasn't trying to weave it into content.
Mm.
I'm not doing it because I'm trying to somehow merge spirituality with branding and business, with psychedelics, with this, with that. Those are things that I'm genuinely interested in at this point in my life. And because they are part of my journey and I am speaking in authenticity and I'm speaking in realness, that stuff is going to come out. I'm going to blurt it out somehow in my words. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear mushrooms. You're going to hear those words.
Mm.
It is what it is. So
Yeah, maybe
Anyways, yeah.
another episode. Another episode we'll
Absolutely,
talk
yeah. Another episode
definitely
for sure. There's a lot. There's a lot.
about mushrooms and creativity. That was gonna be the topic. Yeah,
Lots of plant
amazing.
medicines. Yeah, that's amazing. I've
We
had
got
fun.
them
This is
hooked.
really fun. Yeah.
We got them hooked for the next one.
Yay.
Definitely. I don't know, like I said, how many people will listen to this, but it was like a free masterclass. You see,
Doesn't matter. You and I had
yeah,
an amazing time together
amazing.
here today, and whoever is meant to listen to this and to hear this will get to them today, tomorrow, next year, next lifetime. Who
10 years
knows?
from now, it'll still be
100 years,
valuable.
200 years, if humanity doesn't kill itself, hopefully this stuff is going to be on the internet forever. Let that sink in for a while. Well, maybe, I don't know, who knows.
Yes, YouTube, be
Maybe
alive,
cats
stay
will take
alive.
over. I
That
want
won't
to
be a bad
reincarnate
thing.
for that. Yeah, exactly. I want
Yeah,
to
I
come
love
back for that
cats.
one. Me too. I have two. Yeah.
Thank you. Then
Thanks, Ed.
with that, I think it's a wrap. Thank you so much for your time. It's been now an hour and 22 minutes. Gonna be 23 minutes. So I'm gonna
Woo.
stop it now. See you
All
next
right.
time, everyone.
See ya. Take care.